Anyway, before we get into this episode, I want to put a little spoiler warning out there because we are going to spoil the hell out of Life is Strange True Colors. Please make sure you have played this game or you don't care about spoilers before continuing to listen to this podcast.
Streamcast.
Hey yo, welcome to another edition of the Streamcast. I am Jed and I'm joined by
Sackboy. Wait, you're Jed?
I'm Jed.
We're doing this rethinking name thing. I know I've got big shoes to fill, but I wanted to get this part right at least. But I'm going to stick with it. But I like your choice.
I try to be topical, but it's different because I'm always doing this. So yeah.
But your topical is very topical. You picked a true heel in true Blackamura fashion.
First of all, I'm not a heel. I am man of the people.
The best kind of heel. Best kind of heel. Exactly like Jed, but we'll get into that.
At least one person at the Dash and Smash event confirmed I was man of the people, and that's all I need.
But isn't this the? Let's go. Let's not get into it. But you are a heel. There's certain people that follow you, and they're also heels. So there you go.
I can't speak for their heelness, but I'm man of the people by the law.
Okay.
Anyway, before we get into this episode, I want to put a little spoiler warning out there because we are going to spoil the hell out of Life is Strange True Colors. Please make sure you have played this game or you don't care about spoilers before continuing to listen to this podcast. But here is the reason you want to listen to this pod, because I scoured the earth to find a very special guest. I have the baddest woman from Birmingham, Kayla.
I would take that. Hey,
what's going on?
Woman from Brum, that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. What up, Brum baddies? All right, how you doing? I'm really not. I just want to put that disclaimer on. It is not the case at all. Let me not even try and claim shit.
You are backed by man of the people. It's true.
I don't know if that means anything though. Heel.
That might be the quickest removal of all time. Still,
you know what? I'm gonna be honest. Then it's cool. It's cool.
So, of course, we know who you are. We know you. We love you. But for those who don't know who you are, would you like to give a little something about what you do?
Yeah, cool. That's thanks for the intro. So I'm Kayble, or Kayla. Whatever. However you reach me, I'll respond. I'm a variety streamer, apparently. I say apparently because it's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've been on stream, but for me, story-driven games across Xbox, Nintendo, PC, I'm about it. You can catch me playing multiplayer games online with folks, Mario Kart, those kind of things, catching a vibe, but story-based games, that's where it's at for me. And then outside of streaming stuff, I'm just trying to make this industry a little bit more diverse, you know what I mean? Doing what we can, and just trying to change the world.
Love that. We are obviously people who want change in the industry as well and want it to be very diverse. So we completely align there.
Absolutely.
And we'll definitely.
It's time. It's necessary.
Yeah.
It's time. It's not only in the games that we play, but the people who then make it, the people who hold the money, all of them things there. So when I'm not streaming, that's what my focus is. The leadership levels. Who's holding the purse strings, and how can we make sure that they're about the people?
Exactly. Love that.
Quite interesting saying that, especially in the game we're talking about, because it is actually one of the most diverse games we've had for a while. And it's of decent quality. So, it's not just, here you go, take that, we've done it for you. It's actually, we thought about it, we've given it some
Be
care.
satisfied, yeah.
You thought about it, we've developed it a bit, and we've given you a decent story. So,
Yes, very true. Very true. So without any further ado, let's get into the topic at hand. Life is Strange, True Colors.
Hey.
I guess we'll start with Kayla here to give a general review of the game, and of course feel free to spoil all of the game.
All right. Okay. So, first of all, disclaimer. What I think Nick needs to lay out here. I am a massive fan of this franchise. Right. Okay. So I know that I have a romanticized lens with it. I get that, because there's the ways that I come from. I loved this game when I was playing it. I loved Life is Strange 1. I really, really loved Before the Storm. I loved watching Life is Strange 2. I didn't play it, but I watched Geeky Cassie's playthrough. And so when the announcement came out for like, oh yeah, True Colors, like I, with my fast stuff, I was like, Ultimate, yeah, let me pre-order. The first pre-order game that I've done in a really long time. And now those days I was working full time, so I could afford those things. So I had all the stuff and all the vim and all the excitement for it. And you know what? It did disappoint me. The story follows young woman Alex basically just dealing with her emotions on top of other people's emotions, because she's this supersonic empath. Now the thing with all Life is Strange stories is they've got elements of like supernatural attached to them, which is always gonna like excite me anyway. I love that sort of stuff, all those sort of fantasy type stories, in just a beautiful way that Don't Nod, Deck 9 and Square Enix just came together to tell just really beautiful stories, right? For me, it's the main game that was great, but it's the little bits on the side. So the fact that you can, like, in the the village or town, wherever that she's, a small town that they're living in, New Haven, yeah. They've got like their own version of Facebook, so it's like the village Facebook, and it's like you can read messages and things like that just adds to it. There's this one miner, I don't know if you saw the miner Troy, who just like throughout the story he's just getting angrier and angrier for whatever reason, and he's just like, why are you raging? I'm like, what's going on? There's a couple that are like their friends, and then by the end, do they get together, do they not? And it's all those little things that really add to the story that, for me as a story driven gamer, I absolutely love it. It was dope for, I think, representation with the LGBTQI community as well. So much so that it won Game of the Year at the Gaming Awards. It won authentic representation of LGBTQ experience, and Character of the Year. Alex Chen won. I was wanting Steph to win, but you know, I'm a Steph stan. But Alex won it, so it's okay, it's cool.
I feel like there's many a Steph stands. Many. Yeah,
we're out here. We're out here. We love Steph. Just her confidence. We'll get to it, but yeah. Steph's dope. I don't even know if I gave like a review. I just said why I liked it.
Hey, that counts.
So I don't know. It's dope. Troy, what about you?
Yeah, what about you, Troy?
So this is the first one I've played. Didn't really. So we were told many a time by Mr. Midas, you got to play this game. It's a great game. And like, yeah. Looked and thought, nah, this isn't for me. And then I thought, I want to try something different. So I'll give it a play. And I wanted to kind of create a different kind of content. I didn't really want to speak too much. So I played it and I enjoyed it. And it's still a surprise to me, because I think it's the first video on the channel I've actually completed from beginning to end episodically. Hopefully not the last, otherwise I'm sure Blackamura will kick me out, but we'll see. I think for me, it was going through the story blind, I think was good. I've never played any game like this. And I think even from someone who loves films and documentaries or whatever, it's the storytelling for me, and how I always feel like a good story is not just made up of the main character. It's all the side characters that help tell the narrative and show you different sides to the main. And it's weird because obviously you are the main, you make the decisions, but they still influence it, and how relationships work or don't work, how you interact with different people in the town and their own little stories to keep you involved, like you said. Mm-hmm. But some of the side characters are really good, and it kept the story moving. And I think what was also interesting is the power of an empath, and just it's weird to see empathy in that, for me, in that kind of format. So in a format where, because people talk about you feel for people, you're empathetic, you understand what they're going through, but to actually take on their emotions is it's almost a metaphor to show how some people experience it. You're fully taking on, their joys, their unhappiness, and you're really feeling it, and how overwhelming that can be. And trying to deal with other people's emotions on top of yours. I think it was really good in the storytelling as well. There's representation on race, representation on sexuality as well. And it's weird because I was on the fence with it because they gave you the choice, which is something I didn't know they do. I thought the story was kind of set. And it was interesting because the choice was either something completely different or someone who is the staple of, he looks like a typical, I could take him, put him in Uncharted, Last of Us, whatever, and he will lead. Like, let's be honest, he would, right? That is the face of gaming, but they gave you that choice. Do you want to do something you're more familiar with or something that's completely different for what is gaming? So there's a lot of interesting choices, I think, for the game. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. As a review, are there some things I would change? Because it's the first time I've really played a narrative, I'm not sure. I would have to play other games and see. Because like I said, there was no action, so that was out of my wheelhouse. No platforming, out of my wheelhouse. It was just completely storytelling, but it was really good storytelling.
Yeah, I feel that. I think for that to have been your first Life is Strange experience is really interesting as well. Like coming into it blind, that's really interesting. So for you, if you were to ever go back to Life is Strange 1, and Before the Storm, especially with those two that I have the most experience with, there were so many Easter eggs in it as well that just, it was I think that you could enjoy it as a one-off, but as a fan of the series, that was a beautiful way of like bringing people through. So Steph is a character from Before the Storm, and there are themes that are throughout. And especially when we get to the DLC, I don't know if you played the DLC, but when you play to the links there with the earlier games is beautiful as well. But if you wanted more like stories of this ilk, like or like these developers and publishers that come together, I can't recommend Tell Me Why enough. Such a wonderful game. So I don't even want to give too much away, but that, again, just in terms of story narrative, in terms of choice decisions and all of these things, great choice. They also developed Twin Mirror, which is a game that I recently played on stream. That was really interesting in terms of the choices that you make depending on, determining the results. Those two are from the same sort of people. I think I played it day one, right? So I had glitchy issues as well. I had bugging issues. So I did feel like there was elements I was like, this isn't as smooth. When I went back and after patches, there were things that were better. And unfortunately, I played it on stream and there was a troll that came on and ruined the ending. So that took away. I was really trying to put what they said at the back of my mind, but as the story progressed, I was realizing it was a spoiler that they said on that first day. That rage.
Very justified. Don't be doing that in chats, man.
Trust
Instant
me.
ban.
Shut your mouth.
Perma bans out there. Yeah. Why would you take that away from someone? Like that's
It happened the first time I played Life is Strange as well. Someone popped up. Why? Anyway, I was still able to enjoy the story.
That's good. I mean, it's a strong story. It is a strong story. The animation, right? We should talk about that too. Because recently I've been playing WWE 2K, right? And on GMO, the animation is poor in comparison. I feel like this is the upper echelon of animation, especially talking characters. No, the wrestling's fine. It's the talking that really, when someone's doing the narrative, their mouth is moving, there's no audio, it doesn't make sense. This, amazing. I don't know how they did it. I don't know if it's mocap or whatever. But I would like to see this copied and pasted on other games, please, because I don't need to see what I've seen in other games. I just want to put that out there.
You know what happened, Troy? They learned from their previous mistakes because in Life is Strange, there was I think it's one of the reasons why they remastered. Life is Strange 1, the sync was like, what is going on? And that took away a little bit. So they were like, yo, we ain't doing that again. So I think they knew they had to get it. I'm not too sure about Life is Strange 2 if it was the case with that story, but I know that was definitely something that needed addressing, and they had to make sure. Wasn't it beautiful though? Didn't you feel like the mountains and the water and everything? Oh
yeah, it was amazing. And I'm a big believer of if someone else has made the mistakes, learn from theirs. So there's no excuse for anyone else.
Yeah. So now we're going to get into the meat of what makes Life is Strange special, the choices that you make in those games. And we've had a lot of narrative games come out, like the Telltale games. And I feel these choices directly, impact and have ripple effects throughout the rest of the game. So we'll get into them one by one. And, I'd like to see, one, what choice you made, and two, why you made each choice. Because I know, Kayla, you streamed the games, but Troy, you played basically no commentary. So it would be nice to see, what was going on in your head when you were making those choices.
Mm-hmm.
So the spoiler territory basically starts now. So obviously you play as Alex Chen, who has been estranged from her brother Gabe. They reunite in the town of Haven, and Gabe dates Charlotte, who has a child from a previous relationship. The child's a bit of an idiot. He goes to,
no ears. You see that boy?
It's his. Hey, it's his fault. Hot take. It's his fault.
Storytelling. The best storytelling is when kids don't listen. I'm telling you now. Watch all your favorite shows, and I guarantee you, there's a child that does not listen, and the story explodes.
I mean, you gotta get the juice from somewhere,
At my age, you think I could? At his age, you think I could? Mad.
I think, yeah, he's old enough to know better. So he goes off on an adventure, and
adventure, you're kind. let me mute.
And Alex and Gabe, and I'm sure someone else as well, they go to rescue him. Things happen, and Gabe perishes. Gabe dies. And the first really big decision that I can recall is Typhon giving Charlotte the affidavit, basically a thing to sign that she won't press charges and she's going to take a big fat lump sum of money. So I know what choice I would have made here, but you had the choice to whether to advise Charlotte to sign the thing or not. Troy, we'll go with you first. What was your decision and why?
I went against every single one of my instincts and said, don't sign, even though we're all broke out here. I was just like, just take the money, man, get the bag. However, I think it was just based on the scenario, because there was weird things happening, like they made the call, someone should have been there was clear safety stuff. And I was like, don't sign it, because if they're giving you money now, that means there's more on the table as well. So not only can you get justice, but you can get more money. So, to go for, and you don't even have to do the work, because Alex was doing all the work. So just hold back and let Alex do the work. But no, the other thing was definitely, I feel like, for me, you sign that, there's no opportunity to heal, because you're always wondering what happened, why did it happen, and you can't really now chase it. So even if in this moment you don't feel like, oh yeah, I don't want to chase it, it's too much right now, there might be a point. I mean, Ethan might just come, look, I know I made this mistake, but what really happened that day? You can't do anything. You can't say anything. You're stuck because you signed this thing. So don't, if worst comes to worst, you can, negotiate more money after you've got your justice. But realistically, I think you do want the justice. You would want to know at some point, and I don't think you want to be shut up at that, especially early stage.
Yeah. How about you, Kayla?
I feel what? No. Sorry. Mad. I've already told you I'm out here on smoking to destroy most systems, right? Why am I signing for this corporate? Listen.
For the bag. For the bag. The bag.
Listen.
M's. You got a child, you got a failing business. Was the business failing?
Wow.
I feel like you weren't doing well. You got M's, you got bills to pay. The bag. It didn't cross your mind once. The bag.
It crossed my mind once. I'll admit that. And I left the decision up to stream. Actually, and there was some late minute votes that I actually didn't take into consideration. I didn't look at because they were saying take the money on that. So here's the situation. I get it, because though he ain't got no ears, like, I do have a soft spot for Ethan, so I get that, secure his future, because exactly what you were saying, the situation is what it is. But in my mind, at that moment, I was like, listen, you don't sign now, later they'll come back with another offer that's even higher, because clearly they're at fault. Clearly there's an issue here. So you don't accept the first offer, right? But also bond them, like if they're coming forward to say like, oh, okay, you need to sign this. Can't talk about it. There's clearly there's an issue there. There's something there, and just in terms of my curiosity, just in terms of like the values, like your moral values, like you can't just let it go. But that's me playing a video game, right?
Yeah.
And this is why I love video games, because we can do whatever in like the best choices without the consequences. In real life, I don't know if that would be my response straight away. I know that I'd want it to be, but if it's right there and it's an offer, I can see how that could be really, really tough. This is what I love about the Life is Strange games. They have you really pulling apart at your values and your morals in this way. Like, well, where do you actually lie with this? There's the ability that it's just for the story, or it's like you play it as you are Alex Chen. That's how I play, you know. But now they were too quick with that. Like, what was it, the next day, and they had documents already written up. All you needed to press was copy paste. You were ready to give me no.
I think actually on a real life note, if I told my partner, my fiance, my family, I recommend 90% of them would have vomited if I turned that down on the spot. I actually believe so. And I think that's true. The other thing is actually a good point. And the point is, with the decisions you make, they feel really impactful. It doesn't just feel like, okay, I'm just making a choice for the narrative. It feels like, oh my gosh, this is a big decision for them. This is a big decision for her. And a lot of the choices do feel like that.
Troy, I was in my feelings for everything. You're talking about it being an empath, right? Like, I was like, what do I do? I was watching my VOD back, and I was like, I'm really expressive with my face, but I was really going through some things. Like, it really does play on everything about you. I completely agree with you that there, and I think that's an amazing thing that a game can do. Do you know what I mean? It just, that's why it gets the higher points for me, because of that emotional roller coaster that it took me on. But nah, I'm not signing that. But my thought was, don't sign the first one, but sign, maybe if they come with the second offer, maybe then.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, they will always come back with a heavier offer, and you guys are right. Like, definitely the quickness that they sprung up with that. Hey, let's just keep this on the hush hush. They know what they did was wrong. They know. So we move on from there, and Gabe had a friendship, this kind of relationship with Riley. Correct me if I'm making any errors, guys. Riley, who was in a relationship, a actual dating relationship with Mac. Oh, good old Mac.
Big Mac.
Big Mac. Oh man, Mac was there are words I used to describe Mac. It was a prick. Insecure. Other words that are banned by Twitch, but you know, Mac.
I mean, he was punching.
He was. Maybe he knew. You know, he knew.
Oh, he knew. He knew.
So, Mac was very irate at the wake of all places. I
shouldn't even laugh. Could you imagine that disrespect? Hey, that's one of the first moments where I was like, I wish this game had a press X to punch, you know, like just settle them down a little bit, you know what I mean? Jeez.
Oh gosh.
So it all kicks off at the wake. You know, the guy, the body's still fresh. Like, so you have this choice whether you calm Mac down or you just walk away and just let him deal with his nonsense and maybe, you know, sort it out another way. So Kayla, we'll go with you first. What was your decision? Did you calm Mac down, or did you just let him stew in his own self-bitterness?
You know what? It was so funny at the moment. It was like, calm me down or walk away. Walk away felt so savage, even though he is a prick. He is a prick, but he is a puppet to what this corporate organization has done. Now, not to this extent where it's like killing someone, but I would say if you're in a professional setting, you've all had to do things, or we've all had to do things like toe the business line or the organizational line that we don't feel good about, but we got to do that, you know, so keep your job. So I can understand his fear with that. Also, in the mindset of like this small town, right? Typhon, this savior organization comes in, offers all these jobs, all this opportunity to a town that isn't having anything, you're going to be really nervous about the power that they hold. You're going to be really scared about what they can do to your life, make or break it, when you're not sure what direction you're going, or if your girl even likes you. Actually, mate, she don't. You know what I mean? Because you're a prick. You need to deal with some things. Go to therapy. Deal with your shit, right? For me, I calmed him down. I did, because I was on this investigation mode of like, let's get to the bottom of it. That's why, you know, we added to the reason don't sign the affidavit. Like, it was like proper detective business. Like, let's get to the bottom of it. If we've got him on side, he's maybe someone who we can, you know, bring in at a later stage. But also at the time, he was showing signs to me and, you know, to chat that he wanted to do himself something. Do you know what I mean? And so I thought, okay, if that character's no longer available, then there goes his story and the truth with him that goes. So I calmed him down and tried to build that allyship aspect of him. Life is Strange has got a really wonderful ability to make these characters that are so complex. They are, you know, they are this like really difficult, like prickish way. If you ever play it, Nathan Prescott from Life is Strange 1 and Before the Storm is a perfect example of this as well. They do a really good job of making these pricky characters, and so, but there's still value in it. So that knowledge from the other games, I suppose, helped me with my decision in making there. But at the end of the day, he was small fish with this bigger deal. So just get him on side. That was my thought.
Fair. How about you, Troy?
I honestly can't remember that moment, but I don't feel like I was calming down. I really don't.
You walked away.
That sounds like me. Okay, I'm glad. Good. I did stick to my guns. Do you know what it was? It's funny how you thought of him in that kind of way. Because my thinking was, it's Awake, it's my brother's. Fuck him. Let him deal with it. Everyone else can deal with him. I'm gonna take myself out of this. I didn't really think about his feelings or what he's feeling or his position within Typhon. My thing at the time was, well, he's part of it too, so find him. And it's Awake. It's not my job to calm him down at my brother's wake. Someone else can do that. Is Jed not there? Do you get what I mean? Is all these people like chat to him?
Was this at the wake? No, because I'm thinking about calming him down. This was the after the wake that I was talking about calming him down.
Was this at the wake or afterwards?
I think it was just after.
So it was okay. So in my gameplay, before I got to him, I had a conversation with Eleanor, who, because of her condition, didn't know what happened to Jed, or didn't remember what happened to Jed. So I've just gone off the wave of emotions of this woman who's going through this Alzheimer's dementia. I'm not sure which one was diagnosed or not diagnosed, but I'd just gone off the that emotional wave of supporting that woman, right? So I was feeling very charitable and very just like in my feelings. There's lived experience with those conditions anyway, so I was like calmer when I approached him. So and maybe that plays a part, and I do like how, depending on who you speak to and when you speak to them, bits of the story unfold in a way for you, right? So I feel as though if I'd have just gone straight to him and not done the chatty stuff that I do, and that's how you make the Life is Strange games what they are. You have those little conversations, you observe what's happening, you read people's minds, you read the texts and all that sort of stuff, right? That adds to, it's like better side quests, it adds to the story, like you were saying at the start. So because I'd had that detour to him, my compassion levels were a little higher. But he's lucky. He's lucky he met me when he did. Yeah.
You're better than me, because I know me and I'm still vengeful, no matter when this took place. So I know why I just didn't like him. I think at that point it was just like I just didn't. I didn't feel. I was just like, I don't like him. I don't care for him. He should just break up with his babes and just move on, move out, let him go, and we just deal with everything else. I know with Eleanor's situation, she said something. So I was like, I still don't like him. Like, I get how everyone else might feel about him, but I do not like him. So therefore, it's not my problem. So he can go deal with his own stuff. People might not agree, but I wasn't feeling any sympathy until he got the clearance that it wasn't him. Then I was like, fine, cool. Still not like you, but cool. I can't blame you for this.
And in that in that dynamic in terms of like employees, he's not even the biggest villain. You see Diane?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Or Pally Pally. Oh yeah, Ducky, let's sit down, let's have a drink, and let me just like embed myself into the community. Nah. Snake.
She was bad. She was very, very bad. To Alex's face as well, you know. I'm so
The
sorry for your
gaslighting
loss.
from that woman. Ay, ay, ay. Mad. Mad.
I'm pretty sure if I was in that situation, I just would have walked away from Mac because I think everything he did was very disrespectful. There's a time and place to, you know, talk about why you are insecure about your bibs, and you know she wants to better herself, and I mean she eventually will leave you one way or another, but not at Gabe's wake. There's a time and place for that. So I would have just left him, and he could do whatever he wants himself. I just didn't like him.
It's like he forgot he got punched up, you know.
Exactly, Troy. Exactly.
It's like he
That's my
forgot.
thought process. Like, man was flinching when he saw her. So at that point, I was like, you know, all right, I've done what I need you to do. I've already broken you and her up. All right, let me calm you down. Do you know what I mean? Because I all the smoke with him, all the smoke, all the choices before. He was flinching.
I think your way of thinking was very logical as well, Kayla, when you said this might be a player or a character that you might want later on in the, you know, down the line. He might be able to come on side and help you. And although, you know, you kind of thought about it more as like a game thing, like, and you know, that could very easily be translated to real life as well. No matter how much of a scumbag this guy was, there is still some sort of value that he brings. Like, he has information, he's been involved, you know. So yeah, everyone kind of has a value, no matter how small that is. So yeah, you know, it is important to kind of, I guess, be the empath that Alex is in the game. So yeah, I can definitely see both sides there. I think this is my favorite decision of the game here. So there is a moment where Alex and Charlotte are like in a room together, and I think she's making some paint or something. And basically Charlotte utters that she hates her son Ethan because objectively he is the reason why Gabe is dead. It's his fault. And you don't really see that in like stories at all. You don't see,
No.
or I can't recall like a parent just outright saying, I hate you, or, you know, I hate my kid. There is they like to soften the blow, especially when it comes to like Western audiences. And I thought that was really brave, and I really appreciated that, because you could tell that she meant that, and she didn't want to say that, she didn't want to feel that, but she couldn't help herself. She couldn't move on from it, because this person that she loved was essentially wiped out because of this other person that she loved, and because of that, you know, her love turned to hate. And I think that was like the most beautiful part of the game for me. But the decision for Alex is whether you take her anger away or you let Charlotte stew on her anger. So, Troy, we'll go with you first. What did you do, and why did you do that?
I think first, I think with that scene, I think it was quite important. I think especially, obviously, you know, Brenda does her mother kind of motherhood and getting mums together. And I've done a bit of research in previous jobs on, I guess, mothers for certain brands. And what the interesting thing about it has been is you get 3 different types depending on the platform you're on. That's what we got from one of the clients. So you get what Charlotte did happens, and they say it, they just need to say space. So that used to be in Mumsnet. I think it's now in Spaces and stuff. Then you get an Instagram mum whose pictures shows everything's great, and even if they do mention things are bad, the next post would be how great things are again. And you get Twitter, who's a bit in between. And I find it weird that this is the first real game I've experienced a parent saying that, because it happens. They say it, it's just, you just need the space, and a lot of parents relate to it. Hate is obviously a strong word, and she probably later on says, you know, I hate what he done as opposed to him. But that's how she felt at the moment, and it's justifiable, like you said. Like, one person you love literally killed another, and all her reasons for it was if he had just listened, then none of, and that's what it is. I think it's because it's such a small thing. It's not like he did some incredible thing and then weird, unfortunate events happened. He just had to listen. Then I went through that, and I believe Alex said something. She said, I'm here, or she tried to discuss it through, because she already said she hated Alex. And I was like, so for me, this was personal. I sat there for a good 10 minutes. Obviously I edited that, but yeah. And I was just like, when I was younger, I had anger problems. and everyone's thing was to take it away. It was never to use it or to understand it. It was always, so my first teacher was like, "Oh, count to 10 or whatever," and it worked. It did what they wanted it to do, but that affected other areas. I couldn't express anger. I needed that anger and passion in other places like sports and whatever. I just did not have it anymore. I don't think anger is a bad thing, and I don't think it's something you need to take away. I think you're allowed to feel all your emotions as a person. I just like, why would I take that from her? There's no real point. I get it. She said the things she said. She was basically, I mean, trigger warning. She was feeling suicidal and stuff, but she didn't. For me, I didn't hear anything like I'm deeply depressed, anything like that. So I thought, okay, I don't need to. It's anger. It's all your feelings. I didn't know what would happen next. I mean, in my head, if it was me, I'd just be like, maybe drop a text in the morning. Look, I know what happened yesterday, but I'm still here if you need to talk. But I don't think it was right to be there in that moment. She said everything. I've heard it. I've listened. I've showed that I've listened. She wanted the space. What am I going to do? Just chill? What, be on my phone while she's there stewing? Like, I can't do anything at this point. So I was just like, have your feelings, stew in your anger. As hard as it was hard, it was very hard to make that decision. But stew in that anger, and at some point we'll communicate. But I think at this point, you said what you needed to say. It's out. You can pretty much go through the rest of your emotions now because you're obviously open enough to say it. And then there's just something she needed to work through. But I don't. I think sometimes we're too quick. I think anger, particularly. I think there's other emotions where I would have been like, maybe I would have if they were a bit softer. But personally, for me, I don't think anger should be taken away. I think it should be channeled, and I think it should be understood. But I don't think it should be taken away. That's just my opinion.
Real deep stuff there.
Yeah. But I think this goes back to what Kayla said about personal as well. Right.
Yeah.
You speak.
Yeah. Kayla, how about you?
Oh, I resonate with so much that you were saying there, Troy. Honestly, but this goes back to the point that you made in terms of like, well, it's your opportunity to be that empath, right? And what happens there. Now, I just care about Alex more, and I know
I love
that. I did. And I know that what the anger would have done to Charlotte is very different to what the anger would have done to Alex.
Yeah.
Very, very different of what it would have done to Alex. And in the same respect of what you're saying, like, you need to feel what you need to feel. You have to, that's how you work through them. And tutus now, that same anger, you can put that into your art and actually make some money, like utilize it in that way as well. Now, when it comes into the mix with Ethan and the potential danger to him, because it was grief, right? Grief is one of those things that it will grab a hold of you and it will affect you in ways you don't even know, ways that you don't even expect it to. It can do that to you. I don't imagine she ever expected to say that about her son, but it's what grieving does. But the thing with grieving, you have to go through that process. You have to go through the stages. So for me to come in as like this savior, coming and taking it away, that doesn't make any sense. That's against everything in my being anyway. Like, you don't need someone to come in and fix it for you. You can have people recommend tools for you to deal with it, but ultimately we've got to be making these choices for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
When it came to it, it was like walking out felt like it was going to be a pretty savage choice, but I didn't want that poison in Alex. I really didn't want that. So I was very grateful that you choose to leave and then you can choose to say something else, right? But the fact of the matter is, Alex was his sister. Yes, estranged, but Alex was his sister. And yes, you were were they fiancés? Were they engaged? They were a couple that had been together for a while.
Yeah.
Like, that's not to take any romantic, lessen the romantic experience or whatever it may be, but that's his sister, and you can't just put on everything on her. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is a guy that you were seeing. It's her brother that's gone. Her parents are gone. Like, she's now completely alone. So it's not like in the scale of like, oh, who's got it worse off here? I had to protect Alex. So I left Charlotte to deal with her things, and she'll probably make better artwork for it. And I told her not to sign that affidavit in it, so she needs the money.
It all comes together,
Never forgetting about the bag. Wow. Even I forgot about the bag. Never ever forgot about the bag. Wow.
But that, can we talk about how beautiful that scene was, and
Yeah.
just the use of color through the pieces of art, and how you could, you know, zoom in on pieces, and, you know, emotions attached to it, and the story, how the story's unfolded in that way. I'm a massive fan of the Frogwares Sherlock Holmes series, and the way that the jigsaw pieces work in that. So I was getting like detective jigsaw, let's piece it together vibes from it. Absolutely stunning. I think that was one of the most stunning scenes in the game as well. I was like gasping quite a bit at that. It was a beautiful piece of art there, really was.
I agree with that because then I think there's a part where obviously it was no commentary, but I was just completely silent. I think I was fully in at that point, completely immersed. Because I have commentary, right? And I was saying all sorts of decisions. I know there's a lot of fuck yous for Mac. I have to be honest. You're chatting about all that kind of stuff. But this one, I was just so into it. I just wanted to know what would happen next. And I think certain decisions, especially this one, you were so immersed in the character and everything she's going through. And I think she pulled on more, I would say probably more people's personal experiences with grief, anger, parenthood, all of those things she's experiencing. And I think some of the characters did in terms of connecting with the audience as a support, because we didn't see much of her. We knew who she was. We knew we were trying to build a relationship. But that was, I felt, maybe the first and probably maybe the only time we really saw her as raw as we could. And it really, the way they constructed that scene just pulled everyone in. Like, and I feel like you can only do that in a game. It's very hard to translate that in any other medium like they did. So, and they took full advantage of the fact, this is a game, so we're going to pull everything in.
Absolutely. The music in this game, like, I still to this day will put the playlist on. Like when I'm working, I've got it on like the lo-fi loop on YouTube. Just repeat. It's just a beautiful piece of work. It's a wonderful story, and I've replayed elements of it, but I do look forward to playing the whole thing again. I don't know if I'd make a couple of different decisions, but the next thing that you're gonna ask, I know it's coming. I'm never gonna change my decision on that.
Before we go into that, did chat have a say in this one, and how did they feel?
Yeah. So chat, did they have a say? I always tell them they've got a say.
Oh wow!
I love that.
Yeah, that's the streamer I am. Yeah, cool. It's my stream though. So, I think we're in the like this. It was a really tough decision one, right? I'm not sure if it was the same numbers as it was for earlier, like polls or whatever. But just working through that. But the level of vulnerability as well. That it was a black mother too. Like that played a part for, I think, my audience in the stream too. So just to be able to have that conversation, just dope. Really, really dope.
Yeah, I'd imagine if I was streaming that, I probably wouldn't say a single word in that, because I wouldn't want to like bastardize that moment with just like cracking jokes or trying to, chat with chat. So yeah, it felt, as you said, Troy, a safe space for Charlotte, and she needed that. She needs to get that out. And you actually said something very interesting that I don't think I've ever heard before, that, anger isn't innately a bad thing, but it's just something that needs to be better utilized, and not just, shut down or, don't get angry, more like understand why you're angry and see what you can do about that. I know that I would have left Charlotte, to her own devices then if I was Alex, because grief, as you said, Kayla, grief affects people in ways that you would never ever think that it would. It's just, and you don't know how you're gonna react until it happens. She needed to deal with that herself. I don't think it was Alex's place to take her grief away from her. I think it's something very personal and something that Charlotte needed to deal with herself. And yeah, you just had to let her deal with it. And I personally didn't believe any danger was going to happen to Ethan, but of course you have to. You can't just assume that she's going to do anything to Ethan. Because you never know. Like, it's a very sticky situation, but he wasn't there. I don't know where he was. He was probably not listening again. He was probably, off on
with his dad. I think he may have been with his dad. She may have sent him to his dad for a bit,
Yeah.
There you go. That's a safety space for him, isn't it?
Exactly. And she was able to just be herself and just. And I mean, I saw what happened in your playthrough later on, Troy. So it felt to me like it was the right decision to let her deal with it herself because she comes around.
I
Yeah.
do. Yeah, I think that's a good point. But I do think there's definitely people out there who definitely. I think there's a confliction of, but should she have to deal with this? Like, if I could take the pain from her right now, would I? And I know I was thinking about that a lot. Like, yes, I'm going through my own stuff, but right now, if I could, would I? And I know, I'm certain there's a lot of people, especially who lean into more, way more, I'd say, into the kind of feeling empathetic, would have been like, oh my gosh, she's hurting so much. Let me just take that away without. And I think this is what's really
Is
good.
that empathy, Troy, or is that let me fix it for you? Let me be that savior. Is it empathy? Or is it, I don't want to see your discomfort, let me get it away? So is it even about the person, or is it about what you don't want to see, what you don't want to witness? I don't want to see you hurting, let me take it away.
I think depending on the person, it might be because there are some people who want to be saviors, right? But I think from what I've seen, there's definitely some people who are like, oh my God, this is happening. Like, I don't feel that's fair to you. What can we do? And if the option was, and if they had that power, oh, I could just take away your pain, they would just do it. They wouldn't even think. And I think people just select that option. But like I said, I'm a firm believer of you got to feel your emotions, and you got to find a way to channel it. And there's always a reason for why you're feeling that, and I don't feel that's explored enough. Obviously, here we know the reasons, but there is reasons. So people want to kind of just, I guess, squash or quell the anger, but there's reasons for your emotion. Let's explore that. And I think that's why I picked that. But it's quite interesting hearing like your thought process and how your chat spoke about, I guess, motherhood and being a Black mother. I think it's very interesting because I can assume that the numbers were low because people were very conflicted. Because that is it was a hard decision. I think it's probably one of the hardest to make.
Maybe, and I think that anything that's able to spark that level of conversation and thought, and like, well, what would you do in that moment? Honestly, what like, you're gonna take the money or not? Like, that's it's a bit different to, all right, well, here's genuine emotion, here is genuine, like, serious, uncomfortable pain in what's happening here. Like, it's that human connection. How can I support? But what is that best way of support? What does that look like? And it's interesting that you say about the next moments, because the next scene that I remember, there was a moment where Alex, Ryan, and Steph were all chilling, and Alex snapped at Steph. Now, because I didn't take Charlotte's emotion, it was a snap, but it wasn't more, and then I thought, if I'd have taken Alex's emotion, I probably would have severed the relationship with Steph, and Steph's a very important character for me. So I was like, justified my decision because I know that I'm familiar with the patterns of Life is Strange. I saw how that would have played out differently in that way, and I was justified in my reasoning in that moment, because I knew that because at the end you have like the the choices that you made, and it Steph was left upset or confused blah blah after Alex, and it wasn't the like destroyed one, basically. So that I knew in that moment, oh yeah, I made the right decision, because that, like, then it's because, like I said, with because of Alex's power, what she is then able to do with that anger is way more. The pain that she could inflict, the drama that she could cause. Like, you saw what she did to Mac, like, do you know what I mean? Like, that was the bigger thing, and that's why I said I care too much about Alex for taking on that massive emotion that Charlotte has. Love this game.
I've never even thought about that, but that's a very good point. Like, and it's, as you said, it's just a snap. Like, I even forgot about that because it was so minor, but yeah, that would have been mad. Oof. Speaking of Steph, things do get lighter in the town of Haven, and there's a lovely festival that's been going on for a very long time. And there is this moment where Alex gets the rose, and she can choose between giving it to Steph or to Ryan, who I didn't actually know was a romantic interest until that point. So,
Kayla, is that because you watched my playthrough?
I think that's why.
That might be why. Yeah.
my playthrough with that too, because my playthrough as well as my commentary, Ryan, he annoyed me. He annoyed me the whole time. The freak, you know, do you remember Shrek 2 and Prince Charming? Do you remember?
Yeah, that's who he looks. That is it. That is it. Yeah.
Charming, nah, go away. This whole savior, he was my best friend and he died in my hands and da da da. Like, okay, I get it is your best, but this is the guy's sister, and you're offloading all of this onto. Now, his savior mentality again. With the there was a moment in the game where we went exploring the one side of the mines, right? And like I said, I know Life is Strange games, so every little thing I'm looking at and I'm trying to investigate. And I was listening to his thoughts, and he kept on saying, "Everyone's dependent on you, Ryan. Everyone wants you to do this. You have to do blah 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 blah." I felt bad for the guy. I did, but that in itself to me felt like a manifestation of toxic masculinity. Right? Why do you have to be the centered person in this? Why are you putting that on you? Yes, your dad probably adds to that narrative, and yes, you are the main character in your story, but there are other people's lives that's at stake. And like I said, like I just cared so much more about Alex, and I didn't want her pandering to his insecurity issues, already taken on all of his emotional things as an empath, as a supernatural empath. That would have just drained her massively. So I was like, nah, let's go with Steph, who has her stuff, especially in the DLC. We see that she has her stuff, but the confidence that she has, the fun that she has, the like you said, maybe it was my choices, but Alex just seemed to have just a better time with Steph. I don't know. In my circles, there's one person that I know of, and I didn't even watch their playthrough, but there's one person that I know of that picked Ryan romantically. Everyone else was like, nah, Steph, obviously. And so that was an interesting element for me, but that wasn't even a question. Like, who are you gonna pick? Like the tabletop live episode, like what the creativity that Steph created for Ethan, that was so dope. Like, what does Ryan do? He knows animals.
Come on, man.
The mountains too. Have your interests, cool. I want more for Alex, and so Steph, it was a no-brainer. Maybe I'm being harsh, but I'm just like,
just a bit.
I think actually, now you're saying it, I think those were supposed to be the love interest moments. When he comes out in a wolf costume for him and he's acting all that. She says, or her tone changes, and something like, "Oh my gosh, she's putting in so much effort," or "He looks so funny," or like this is some cute thing.
The thing that Steph organized. Yeah, okay. Sorry, Troy, carry on.
I think that was what they're trying to push, and even so, my decision was like, I think we had that moment of joy. And I was conflicted because I didn't want to hug. I thought, let me just hug, but I didn't want this to form a relationship. This is just being friendly. Don't take this as more, please. Like, this ain't where it's going. And I feel like Steph, there was the table football scene, which was really good. I thought there was just more there. Plus, I was like, I don't want to see another like Prince Charming. I'm tired. We're tired. So no, I'm not going to make this decision. And I liked how I could make Steph sweat in the shop.
There were certain moments, yeah. Which moment are you talking about specifically?
So when
nervousness around her.
Yeah, like we was with Ethan. I can't remember the comments you made, but then Steph was speechless. Like, yeah, I am now Alex. Alex is now me because I've done this before. So we're going with this. This is where we're going.
Ryan's too concerned with, what will my dad think? What will the people think as I do these things? But in fairness to Ryan, that moment on the hill when they were just sitting, it was just pure yellow joy, and they were just sitting there. That was a really lovely moment. I want to see Alex happy. Do you know what I mean? That's what I want to see. I want to see Alex in a situation where she's doing all right. And so that moment, I was like, oh, okay, cool, that's nice. And you know why? It's because he was quiet and he wasn't centering himself. That's what I got. Maybe people are gonna say in the comments, yo, like we need more love for Ryan. Like, argue with your shadow. It's
So my favorite bit about this bit, you started that out with saying, with fairness to Ryan, and then
that's where it
completely
went to.
destroyed his character. You can even say the sentence before rolling your eyes.
I just couldn't get out because we're starved of different narratives. That's the thing.
no,
Do you know what I mean? We're starved of it, and I'm just like, ugh, why would we go back there? But I can understand that he around him is toxic masculinity. He has grown up in that situation, so I can understand that he, again, like Mac, therapy will help, and is a symptom of the environment that he's around. I get that, but this is also me from my female perspective as well, right? Like, did you? Well, it sounds like you made the same choice as me, Troy, but did you resonate with his desire to, sort things out and fix things and have that I should have done more as a man thing? Did you resonate with that at all, or is that not the case?
No, that's the case. I did resonate with that. I think, especially being a lot of older brothers will say this, you get a lot put onto you in that sense of, oh, if something happens. I know it's the dynamics in the house is very different. The older woman, obviously, the older sibling who's a girl, just does all the housework and support a lot in that sense. Then when things in my house, and I know for a lot of older brothers, when things go down, there's this look on you like, so why wasn't you protecting them? Why wasn't you there? It's like, bro, I can't be everywhere at once. Half the time I didn't even know this happened. So there's some bits, yes, I sympathize with his character, but he was too far removed from my personal environments, if that makes sense. I think everything seems perfect for him, and that's not how I grew up, so I didn't really care for him. And Steph just seemed more interesting. Just that was literally, she just seemed more interesting. She had a bit with her, she was making jokes, but you could see there was something else playing at her. She's definitely ride or die. And I thought, let's just see how this plays out. We've been here, we've done that. Like you said, we've seen this narrative. Steph was definitely written different, so I just wanted to see something else. It's not a Disney movie. I don't need him. So
An old school Disney movie, because Disney movies have been, they have moved things on a bit these days,
and people don't like it. So I don't care for what people think in that regard. So I'm tired. So let's keep pushing what we're doing now. Something new.
I do think that he's a decent friend, though. I do like the trio, the dynamic of the three of them, like when they were on their mission with Diane, and like how we were plotting and how we were going to do that. The fun that they clearly have together, that was nice to see. But just romantically, it was that was it. But it was,
yeah, I definitely would have gone with Steph as well. I don't know if this is because I may have been influenced by your playthrough, Troy, but I think naturally Steph and Alex kind of had more chemistry. Just little things, little one-liners here and there that you probably forgot about. But it just seemed like two people who like each other, they will find anything to be excited about with each other, and that's what I felt when Alex was around Steph. And I think Kayla, you said it perfectly. Ryan is a perfect friend to Alex. I don't think there's any romantic connection there anyway, but I do think the game did its best to try and keep things open for like whatever you, the player, wanted to do. I think they did the best to like not really hurt you one way or the other. But yeah, we don't really need another traditional relationship for the sake of it. We don't need that. Alex and Steph was just I think it was just the natural thing for me. And I think the scene where I was like, no, these two is the scene that you mentioned, Troy, the foosball thing. And I think you actually lost the game, but like
I was like, I'm like, I couldn't beat her.
But it worked out because there was a really nice moment afterwards. And I think Steph was like, I think Alex reads Steph's mind and she says, oh, she knew exactly what to say or exactly what to do. And I thought that was really nice. And then I was like, okay, it's these two. Also, shout out Steph for the whole like GLARP thing. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, we gotta give her a massive praise for that.
So dope.
Yeah,
So dope.
as someone who's
So
played,
Even
creative.
gave us, yeah, it was
Mm.
amazing. Even gave us the True King.
as
Oh.
as
Taken too soon, man. Like, no, you're like making jokes like it's light. The shock when it was just like, oh.
Do you know what I found out afterwards? Apparently that was I never watched the trailer. Apparently that was in the trailers. Everyone knew.
oh.
I've seen the trailers and still it shocked me. I think it's the way that it happened. I knew that an event happened with her brother. But in the moment, it just took me by surprise.
Yeah.
It honestly did. And that made me really love the fact that earlier in the day they had taken the time to sit on the rooftop and they were having that beautiful conversation with the great scenery. And in my playthrough, I told Gabe. Alex told Gabe what? See how I'm like, oh, it's me. Alex told Gabe about her powers. And that just pure acceptance and love from him he was the perfect brother that wasn't given enough time to be a brother to her. Just beautiful, beautiful storytelling. And the use of colors with all of it. It just took me back to GCSE drama. It was great. Like, this is what we do. We've got the reds and the blues, and this, if we want this emotion, we have that. But it worked. It really, really worked. I was just vibing. Really, really vibing.
The final major decision, whether you stay in Haven after you've resolved the big issue, I guess we'll get into that a bit later, or you leave to take off with your partner, who, I mean, let's be real, Steph. Kayla, which decision did you take and why? Did you stay or did you leave?
I hit the road, Jack. I left. I took Steph and I went back my business because it felt like, why would you stay in a place and live in your brother's shadow? Like the town that he picked, the friends that he made, the murderous people still about, the memories attached, and then we find out how deep into her family history that town actually goes as well. And that trauma, it's just a trauma spot there. So I was like, you're 21, you got your babes, get on a bus, you got a nice voice, get your guitar and go on the road. Like, that's the way I was thinking. Now I can understand with her life before that point, the instability, another beautiful scene was when we were in her dream state and she had gone back to the adoption/foster potential parents and all the things that were said about and to her, the various things that had happened in her life, and just how the instability of her life. So I can understand anyone's choice for that stability. But I think the stability was in Steph. That's what I kind of came from it. I think because I encouraged Riley to stay with her nan, I encouraged Alex to, like, I kind of balanced it off. Like, okay, I've told one to stay and I'm telling the other one to go. I didn't want to tell them both to be in the town. But I will say that it was tough to leave. It was tough to make that decision because I didn't necessarily want to leave Ethan.
Okay.
Because I actually, by that point, I'd gone a soft spot for him, especially after the episode of the live tabletop. But yeah, don't live out your dead brother's life. Bit much.
I like the way you phrased it, but I think that's a lot of very strong points you made there. How about you, Troy?
It was less dead brother, more living for everyone else. The way that last scene felt like I'll be staying for everybody else. So staying for Eleanor, staying for Ryan, and just not really living. And I felt at that point, Alex hadn't lived yet. She had obviously a difficult upbringing. She had the adoption agency. And I thought finding her brother was her step to live. I don't even think her plan was to stay. And I was like, well, we know where they are. Like, you can just come visit and whatever. And that's another part of the adventure. And if you know this is where your family is. After you've done your stuff, you can just come and stay. But I didn't just feel like that town was for her yet. I felt like she needs to go and do her own thing for a bit. And if later on, she'll come and kick it with everyone more permanently and wherever she is with Steph or whatever, she has a home there. But I think she still had she found a lot of herself there. But I feel like there's other elements she needed to explore. So how that scene was constructed for me, I mean, I could have interpreted it wrong, but for me, it was just edging to leave, do what you need to do, and then more options open up for you, as opposed to staying to help Eleanor because she's feeling this type of way, or staying to help whoever. Go for you. And there's other people who take care of each other, so they'll be okay. Just do what you need to do for you. So that's what I felt.
I think in the monologue, when she confronts my man, there's an option where she can say, like, oh, I've always wanted to belong, I've always wanted to sing, and I've always wanted to do something else, right? And I feel as though whatever you picked there may have determined how the series of like the conversation may have flowed. Again, because of my Life is Strange experience, like those kind of breadcrumbs I can feel like coming through with things. So I believe you could replay this game and make different choices and feel like you've got a totally different game at the end of it, because there was a moment in my game where there was this scene where you just saw Ryan randomly just looking out into the mountains, and he looked very sad. He just found out what he found out. Oh, we've said spoilers. Found out that his dad's a murderous prick, right? And then
an assassin,
and it was just looking out like, but then it was like that standalone scene, and then it went. And I wondered if I'd have made other choices, there would have been a bit more to that dialogue. There would have been a bit more to that scene.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I think that your play style really does affect the outcomes, or like where the story kind of takes you, or where you're supposed to go with that, depending on your choices earlier. Because for me, when Alex was in that mine shaft and she kind of reached and she was like, oh, what kind of that the matchstick that that Gabe gave her was there. Do you remember that? And that was from scene 1. That was episode.
I didn't remember that.
See what I mean? Like, these are the things that kind of like flow all the way through, because they had that conversation and he gave her this and like, you're a spark or something like that. Yeah. And she still had that and if she didn't have that conversation with him, or she didn't collect his things, that's why with every before every like episode got started, I made sure that I went around the apartment room and was I did the washing up, I did the tidying, all these things, and I've got an achievement for it, because it actually clocks up like who, like, people, you did this every day, you did that every day, and I love those achievement things. But that's, for me, that's where the other elements of the story come about, because one of the characters who we haven't spoken about, who I thought was just, it was a beautiful story, was was Dirty Santa, Bucky. Like, I love that guy.
Dirty Santa.
Yeah, that man. He's just like a drunkard Santa, isn't he? Like, he's messy, is whatever, but he's such a gent. He's such a gent. And there's a moment, and you can very easily miss the scene, but it's the love festival, that love festival scene, and he's in the pub by himself, looking all sad, and it's Bucky. He's not usually sad, so inquired about it, and then I don't know if you saw this this scene, Troy, but then he went on to talk about this epic love story that he had as well, and it's like, that's those things just add to it, and that's what you have to do with narrative-driven games like Life is Strange. Is you can't just play it like it's a platformer, like from A to B. You have to explore, and that's what enriches the experience.
It's like a JRPG.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's where I got that from. Because the change, I think that's why it's a little bit easier for me, because if I went from platformer to this, I'd just go through the story. It's JRPGs where, especially Final Fantasy VII Remake, where you don't talk to enough people and you miss things, you miss vital things, so you end up talking to everyone, and that's where I got it from. And this is necessary. So I was happy. There's some bits I missed. I was determined to get into the drawer because I was just nosy. So I kept looking, hoping that drawer would open. But then I was just like, oh, the pub's there. Let me just go and see it. And he just happened to be there. I was just curious. So yeah, you definitely in these games need to explore, others you miss. I mean, you can go back, but you miss a lot in your playthrough.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think the summary at the end helps you realize, oh, there was something else there as well. And that's when I realized that there was a glitch issue with the story element with Eleanor and Riley, and that's when I was able to go back and because that just skipped completely in my first playthrough. Even down to like putting the jukebox, like a song on the jukebox, so that this couple could just have a nice date. Finding the person's cat, was it a cat? I think it was the guy's cat who had put in lost something on the record store's notice board. You reunite him with his cat, and then all of these people. I'm just thinking, okay, who are we collecting to be on side? That's my thought process. But even with Pike, the police officer, and him wanting you to sign an affidavit as well, but the fear that he had just strengthened I made the right decision with supporting Mac, because look how deep it goes, like look how far it goes, and that, like all of these little intricate details that all flow into the same thing. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to change my decision on Mac, by the way. I'm just going to say that. I will forever feel justified.
He's a prick.
Yeah.
I think that is the beauty of a game such as this. Like, it's not just do this task, go to the next level. You do have to kind of just immerse yourself completely into this game, talk to everyone. Little nuggets of information can just be missed out in a sentence or two. And I mean, you both really utilized talking to everyone very well, and were able to craft your own experiences. So I guess lasting impressions that you can talk about, anything else you want to talk about with the game, and what would you say to try and get someone who hasn't really played a game such as this, a heavy narrative experience? What would you say to get someone else to pick up the pad and play Life is Strange? Kayla, we'll start with you.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this chat. I really enjoyed it, and I really would like to hear Troy, like about how many people backed Alex in your playthrough when she confronted them all on the truth, and how many people agreed and how many people didn't agree. I'd like to hear where your story got you to that point. But to go back to what I would say to others, that with a game like Life is Strange, the immersion is key, and it's a wonderful story about humans and the complexity of us, and that it's not, oh, this person's good, this person's bad. There's beautiful gray in all of us, and there's all of these elements, and yes, there's pricks, and yes, there's people that we prefer. But at the same time, with my love for Steph, she just folds for Alex as well, and I don't really rate that in somebody. And yes, Mac is a prick, but he's extremely insecure. So there's all of these elements of people that are happening, and it's a beautiful exploration of people. It touches on some real stuff as well. I think if you're new to Life is Strange, understand that all of the issues that they tackle, that it's serious stuff. So there's conversations about lived experience with sexual assault. There's conversations about suicidal ideation. There's heavy things about like adoption and fostering, and that element of it. As I said, Alzheimer's and dementia plays a part in this as well. Different family dynamics shows too. It's a very interesting human experience, but it's that if you do that exploration, you can't just go from episode doing just the main mission things. You have to talk to the people to build that fuller experience, and challenge yourself to play in a way that you wouldn't naturally, and see what happens there. It's a safe way to kind of play out what would happen in that environment without your thought process. I'm a firm believer that that's the power of gaming. It can tell wonderful stories from different perspectives that we don't always know about, we don't always consider, and it's a great opportunity. Any Life is Strange game is a great opportunity to do that, mixed with the fact that, you know, it's LGBTQI beautiful and celebration in that space. It's a very diverse mix in terms of the ethnicity, the neurodivergency as well of people that are the characters too. I just think it's a very well told story, and it's a beautiful piece of art to look and play with as well. And if you've got Game Pass, it's on Game Pass as well, so it's available, and you can play on Game Pass on PlayStation. No, you can't, on Xbox or PC, right? So PlayStation wishes, so you can play on Xbox or PC, right? So there's a way for you, an accessible way for you to see that story as well, and I think it's worthwhile.
Very well said. How about yourself, Troy?
Okay, so the first one, I think it was only Eleanor that they didn't agree. I don't know how Ryan plays out because he just confronted his dad and asked if it's true. So I don't know if he was on my side or not. But she wasn't. So well, I didn't really care for her like that. I felt for her, but I wasn't invested in her character like that personally. I was like, okay, fine. But everyone else seemed to. So that happened. So yeah, that wasn't that. It was interesting. I would say for people who haven't or wouldn't or I guess more so aren't sure about playing it. If you're looking for a piece of immersive content, and Lord knows Netflix has tried and failed. If you're looking for a piece of immersive content that your decision feels like it matters and it challenges you, your morals, your values, and you can see from other perspectives, was it right? This is the game for you. I mean, you'll be conflicted in some points and others you'll probably be oblivious. But it gives you the chance to explore these scenarios. And for a lot of people, these are weird what if scenarios, but they are what if. Not what if your brother dies, what would you do? But there's little things in there, like we were speaking about Charlotte. If your friend was feeling this kind of pain, what would you do? You know, if someone was going through Alzheimer's, what decisions would you make? Would you say something if they keep forgetting? Would you not? Would you let their, I guess, family members know? Down to just simple love stuff. You know, how would you act in these situations? I feel like it tugs on a lot, and even the final-ish decision for the story. You know, living for yourself and stuff, and even to the extent like someone's done all of this to your family, what would you do? You know, do you forgive? I saw a lot of conversations on this. I disagreed with a lot, but do you forgive or do you condemn? And it challenges you on all these things and all these choices, but it still makes it fun. It's not, we talk about a lot of the heavy moments, but there were so many light moments to balance it out. And I think that's what made it a good narrative. It was a good drama arc. It wasn't just, even how it started was very positive, and you could make it more so between your interactions. Then obviously you had the dip, and it just seemed to be getting lower and lower and lower, and then it started to raise up again, and then you get to that finale. So it's very good. It's great storytelling, very immersive, and I think it's bite the bullet. No matter what perceptions you have of it, it's definitely not the game it is. It's probably a lot better than you think, and I would definitely encourage people to try it out. And it's probably the beauty of it not being on Nintendo Switch is it will actually drop down in price now at this point, so you won't get it for full price. And it's on Game Pass. No matter what console, PC, you have a choice, and the choices you should get it.
I agree. Yeah, I really, and I liked that you both took different approaches with the way you showcase the content, because obviously Kayla did a live stream, Troy did Let's Play series, and I think it's a game that can be consumed either way. There's so much meat to the story of Life is Strange: True Colors, and every playthrough can be vastly different to the last one. So it's not so much, oh, I've seen it once, so, you know, you don't have to watch it again. There's all the differences that you make, like the one you mentioned. Do you forgive or condemn Jed at the end when he's confirmed to be the prick behind everything? You know, that is, a lot of these things are rooted in like real life philosophies, and that then gives every decision that you make in the game more gravitas. It's not just, oh, like for example, a Sonic game. If you die, you die. You can just replay the level. But here, it does genuinely feel like every decision you make has a consequence
Yeah.
that's just felt throughout the rest of the game. And I love that. I love the concept of, even though these people aren't real stuff that has happened to real people has happened to them, and everyone has to live with either that mistake or that thing. And that I feel that is what life is about. Just making the best out of the hand that life has dealt you. Beautiful game, beautiful experience. I want to play it. Yeah.
It was great. I just want to quickly touch on the stream element of it as well, and I'd really like to see more narrative games doing this. But they, I don't know if it was Square Enix or Don't Nod. I'm not sure whose responsibility it was, but Don't Nod, not Deck 9.
I think it's Deck 9.
One of them, yeah, because Don't Nod did the original. Yes, Deck 9. Thanks, Troy. They had an element where you could play it for stream view, so they cleared away any DMCA type music. So there was times where Gabe and Alex would just jam into complete silence, which was quite good. And there's a really great clip of like the Noir Network who played this on stream as well, and what they did in the time. So Bonix, Gleany, Geeky Cassie, Ex Mirror Mirror, like there's a wonderful clip video. So if you can go and find that, it's very funny what they did to fill the empty space there. But also they embedded in these Twitch options where to help with the polls, to help with the votes of your audience, to really engage them. And I think that's a great way to connect with your community and start to have those conversations with your community as well. And so I'd love to see more games do story-driven games to do that sort of Twitch or community engagement tools to help with the gameplay as well. It felt like a community. The community went through it, and just a beautiful way to engage folks in that story. Just a quick plug for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's nice that, because it very much mirrors a community in the game. Like it's not a big village, but everyone's important to Alex in one way, shape or form. So yeah, I really like that mentality and that way of rollout.
I like our choice because our community is toxic, so it's glad in the community. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, if you do that, don't involve Hassan, I beg. Though I'm on smoke with most of these things, but you're thinking Hassan in it. Yeah, you say I knew. We see you with your pretty hair trying to be all nice. We know the toxicity. I
just love that he's been singled out as the one true villain.
Oh no, we've got multiple. You are there too. It makes a great show when you have multiple heels. You know that.
I mean,
in the main event, he's the opener.
Better be the main event. What do you think this is?
Oh my gosh.
Well, I have thoroughly loved this conversation. Thank you so much, Kayla, for jumping on and joining us and sharing your amazing insight on Life is Strange. If people want to follow you, where can they follow you?
I appreciate it. I've really enjoyed this chat too. Thank you. Anytime you want me back, like let's make that happen. It's very simple on all the socials. I'm at its_Kayble, Kayble. Twitter, Twitch, TikTok occasionally, YouTube as well. That's, if you go to my Twitter, you'll be able to find out what I'm doing in all streaming and content type stuff. Great to chat. Come along to the streams. I'll be resuming in June, getting back into the swing of things. And yeah, we play stories. We have these sort of discussions and we vibes.
Lovely. Yeah, definitely check out Kayla wherever you can. Just an absolute brilliant mind, and we'd love to have you back on again to, whether it's a narrative game like Life is Strange or some WWE themed content, because I know you're about that action.
About that life too. Don't worry about that. I'm about that life too. Yeah.
You'll definitely get that call from me. Yeah, Troy, it's been great having you on as well. It's been a minute since you had your insight on the pod, but yeah, very well needed. I thought I needed to have you on here. your first-hand experience of playing the games, and we like different kind of games, so it's good to see you know where you stand point and all of that. So yeah, thanks for coming on, bro.
No problem. I was going to say any time, but that is a lie. I'm very much dependent on family, but yes, whenever I can, I will.
I know who runs the house there. It's cool.
Yeah, she knows it too.
Thank you for checking out the Streamcast. If you liked what you saw, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Tap the bell and set it to all so you get whatever content we pull out as soon as it goes out, whether it's the Road to Ragnarok series, our My Rise series, or anything else. If you listen to this podcast, let us know what you thought about it on Twitter, Instagram, wherever. Streamcast_. Give us a follow. We've just passed 700 Insta and 800 Twitter followers. So thank you. Thank you so much for the support. You can follow us on TikTok, Streamcast_, because my man here, Troy, has been doing an absolute madness on the TikTok.
I've been killing myself, throwing myself from beds and flinging in the air for you people. More follows, please.
I very much appreciate that. You people need to follow us on TikTok. But yeah, if you like to listen to your pods instead of watching them, you can catch us on Spotify, Apple, Google, a plethora of other podcasting platforms. If we're not where you like to listen to us, let us know, hit us up, and we'll try to change that for you. Follow us on Twitch, Streamcast TV. I'm currently dying on Sekiro all the time, and I hate it, but I love it. It's great. It's a great game. And check us out on our website, thestreamcast.co.uk, where you can check out our blogs and future events. And you can check out, our past event, Dash and Smash. Hopefully we'll have, some content out there for you to enjoy for people who weren't able to make it. I think I shouted out everything.
Yes.
Cool.
Until the next going on there. There's all this content, so people don't have excuses. Don't have excuses.
Exactly.
The only thing I didn't hear, an audio book. That's the only thing, but I'm sure that's coming.
Don't kill us, please.
I was gonna say, why are you giving me more work to do?
Now you're thinking, how can I write a book now? Do I have this time for the voiceover work? Like, do I have that?
It will definitely be Isaac's voice. He's got a fantastic voice for that.
Yeah.
But everyone, please take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Stay safe, and we'll catch you on the next Streamcast.